Steven Kostanski, the twisted mind behind The Void, The Editor, Manborg, and Father's Day, is back with another offbeat and exciting genre mashup. Behold, Psycho Goreman. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm ML Miller. While you might be watching this video on the Kings of Horror Network, I urge you to click over to my ML Miller Frights YouTube page and give it a like. Please share with all of your buddies. Click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications. PG Psycho Goreman is new on-demand and digital download from RLJE Films. It's written and directed by Steven Kostanski. When a pair of kids, Mimi, played by Nita Josie Hanna, and Luke, played by Owen Meyer, are playing an innocent game of crazy ball in their backyard, they accidentally unearth a power gem that unleashes a long-buried scourge of the universe. Dubbing the monster Psycho Goreman, PG for short, Mimi and Luke control it as long as they possess the power gem. Meanwhile, across the universe, the Gygax Council, the same group of beings who imprisoned Psycho Goreman long ago, get word that he is loose again, so they send a powerful warrior, Pandora, voiced by Anna Tierney and played by Kristen McCullough. Back on Earth, the kids are having a blast with Psycho Goreman, voiced by Stephen Vlahos and played by Matthew Ninaber, making them do one crazy stunt after another. But creatures from across the universe are descending upon Earth to enact their revenge on what Goreman did in the past or punishment for escaping his prison. Okay, I'm going to come right out of the gates saying Psycho Goreman is not going to be a movie for everyone. If you have difficulty lowering your snout to watch trauma films like The Toxic Avenger or Toho-inspired monster flicks like The Guyver, then you're not going to be the type of person this movie is made for. If you didn't grow up on Power Rangers, most likely the over-the-top fight scenes, bulky costumes, and broad drama will be seen as too goofy to be invested in. There's an undeniable sense of innocence and wonder to Psycho Goreman, despite the massive amounts of gore and all shades of wrong going on. I'm sure there are fuddy-duddies out there that simply can't find it in their hearts to give PG a chance. If that's you, that's fine. I'm sure there'll be another A24 sorrow porn release coming out soon that takes horror deathly seriously for you to wallow in. The rest of us will be over here having a blast with the latest from the deliciously demented mind of Steven Kostanski. Boiled down to basic elements, Steven Kostanski is a lover of all types of genre films. His past works have paid homage to John Carpenter with The Void, Italian giallo with The Editor, cheap sci-fi with Manborg, and grindhouse debauchery with Father's Day. His newest film takes these Toho monster movies and adds a little bit of trauma goodness to make a film that is way better than it should be. Psycho Goreman is full of surface-level laughs, soppy gore, and hokey but fun stunts and effects. But it's also smartly written, devilishly clever, and executed at a masterful level of direction, performance, effects, and storytelling that you simply don't see in this type of movie. I've followed Kostanski and his crew of madmen since the proof of concept video for Father's Day came out in 2011. It's amazing to see the leaps and bounds Kostanski has grown since then. While some might say Kostanski may have taken a step back to his zanier roots after delivering the comedy light Lovecraftian goodness that was The Void, I see Psycho Goreman as more of a return to form for Kostanski's off-kilter sense of humor and appreciation for the off-the-beaten-path type of cinema. Elements of everything from The Guyver to The Gate to Phantasm are in Psycho Goreman, and I found this blend is nothing but a genuine good time from beginning to end. The ongoing joke in Psycho Goreman is the tentative relationship between PG and Mimi. Filled with unbridled energy, Mimi is exuberant in pretty much everything she does. She dives headfirst into anything with little thought other than that the world revolves around her, and she cares nothing for those who say otherwise. In many ways, PG is the same way with his singular goal of destruction and terror. The fun is in the way these two extreme personalities work with one another. Or maybe a closer description is how they work off of one another. While some might argue that this is basically a one-joke film, the joke worked for me every time they went to that well. That being, Mimi or some other kid says something innocently, and then Psycho Goreman responds with some kind of extreme villain line involving evisceration, destruction, or annihilation. It happens over and over, and for some reason, I never got sick of it. Some might feel differently, but seeing this juxtaposition of extremes worked for me every time. If the actors weren't all in with this concept, there'd be no way it would have worked. But Psycho Goreman, and all of the insanity that is his world, is played straight all the way through. Steven Vlahos has just the right tone and bass in his voice, sounding somewhat similar to a slightly more bent Optimus Prime as the voice of Psycho Goreman. His line delivery is serious in tone, which makes it all the funnier the more mundane the situation he finds himself in. Sure, his over-the-top line delivery works well on the battlefield, but set it in a diner eating pancakes, and it's kind of bonkers. I understand if viewers might be overwhelmed and annoyed by Nita Josie Hannah as Mimi, but I have a niece that is pretty much a carbon copy of her herky-jerky, devil-may-care attitude, so I was endeared to her performance. The little gal's got confidence. I'll give her that, and somehow her gigantic personality is able to go toe-to-toe with this intergalactic menace. I also have to mention the amazing comedic muscles of Adam Brooks, who has been in all of Kostanski's films and was an original member of the troupe Astron 6. Brooks's line delivery and physical comedy is perfect here. He plays the lazy dad and does so marvelously. It could have been a bit part, but the way he plays the character makes him a true standout. I laughed at almost all of Brooks's antics throughout this movie. Psycho Goreman is a practical effects showcase. I would say 95% of the effects seen in this film are practical, which is a feat in this modern age of CG. The thick costumes may bring back memories of the bulky monsters in Power Rangers, but that just adds to the fun. I did have some issues with the facial appliances on some of the monster effects. I wish the sculpt would have been thinner and more conformed to the actors' faces. During the scenes where the monsters talked, it just didn't look good to see a lack of movement in their faces, specifically Psycho Goreman and Pandora. These two being such prominent players in this film, I wanted them to have a better range of movement in their faces so that they could emote more, but they just didn't have enough for my tastes. That said, I love the gore and the carnage that show up in Psycho Goreman. Not only are heads and spines torn from bodies in bloody glee, but there's a creativity to the terrors that PG doles out. I love the idea of one of PG's victims reliving the moment he crosses over between life and death for eternity and the accompanying effects. Another standout is a cop that is turned into PG's minion who looks as if he was turned inside out. There's a creativity behind these effects and character designs that you simply are not going to see anywhere else. A myriad of creatures are made to populate the world of Psycho Goreman, each given not only a fun name, but also seemingly a backstory and characteristics that make them feel like actual characters rather than puppets and appliances. Two of my faves are Tube Man, who seems to be a brain and eyes squished into a tube, and reacting kind of like Beaker from the Muppets to pretty much any type of news he hears. I also loved Death Trapper, a walking meat grinder who grinds up his victims and shoots the blood and gore at his other opponents. I could see t-shirts, lunchboxes, and action figures come from Psycho Goreman. There's a very mainstream yet edgy quality to this film over most of Kostanski's films. I know I'd pick up a set of figures myself if they were available. In many ways, Psycho Goreman feels like it was built from the same mold as the Toxic Avenger. I think your feelings on Troma's mascot are going to reflect how you feel about this film. If Troma's idea of wonky fun isn't your thing, I'd say you'd feel the same way about Psycho Goreman. But while Kostanski brings a level of craftsmanship, humor, and skill that is much more impressive than Troma, the tone remains consistent, while still surprisingly family-friendly. I had so much fun with Psycho Goreman. Though we may disagree, PG is the hero we all need in these dark times. See this film with your family, and laugh and love, and maybe vomit together. That'll be it for today. Please chime in down below in the comments and let me know how on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am, or you can counter with your own review. So guys, you know how YouTube works. I'd love to be able to dedicate more time to this channel. I'm not monetized yet, so if you want to help me out, remember to hit all the pertinent bells and whistles down below. Want some spooky comics to read? I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks you should look out for. Both Gravetrancers and Pirouette, collecting never-before-published issues, can be found in only the finest of comic book shops. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on my website, mlmillerwrites.com. If you really want to show your support, I also have a Patreon page at mlmiller. Look for the link to my Patreon page down below. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're